The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why the actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations, that's forming a fun.
Good morning and welcome back to the Blueprint Podcast. I'm your host, Lew Alcindor, and I'm excited to be back with you guys again on another Blueprint. And let me say this up front. For those who, may be looking for me on Facebook. I showed a video on last week on, the Acts of Kindness 101. And Facebook has temporarily suspended me for showing the video, even though I said on the video, right, I do not own the rights to it. Right. I just thought it was a great piece. I love CBS's Acts of Kindness 101. And we was trying to make the point of how important it is to have self-confidence and be kind. Right. And for that, they had suspended me from Facebook. I don't know how long. I mean, I put in a request to explain, and but still they suspended all my pages on Facebook for showing that video. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess that's what it is in terms of life situations. Hopefully I'll be back on Facebook shortly, and we'll continue to enjoy the Blueprint Podcast. So let me get rolling this morning. I'm excited to be back with you guys for another Blueprint. I'm kind of thrown off a little bit this morning, waking up after setting up the podcast and knowing that I'm not going to be on Facebook. It was kind of crazy, but let's get rolling, man. I'm excited because I got a legend on the Blueprint Podcast this week, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation with them. I've known them for a very, very long time. And so let me get rolling so I can get to him. And I think we got to get him back on. But let me get going. I want to start out with my books of the week. Yeah, I'm sure that you guys remember Jeremy Lin. Asian basketball player, got drafted by the Golden State Warriors, coming out of, I think he was in Princeton. And I don't know if he was drafted, but he ended up with the Golden State Warriors, played on their G League team, very talented player at Princeton, and, very exciting. Nobody really knew a whole lot about him. And, next thing you know, one of the players for the Knicks gets injured, and they bring in Jeremy Lin for I guess a 10-day contract, and they signed him while that person was injured, and he came in and took the Madison Square Garden and the New York Knicks what they call Lin sanity. I mean, he just went crazy. I mean, nobody knew who he was. He just came in and just started at the point guard and just dominated. And the Garden is always electric. The Garden is always electric. But, man, he was electric for a long time. Everybody kept saying each and every night, man, that Jeremy Lin was playing, okay, this may be the night where this ends. Right. And Jeremy Lin was just he was just going crazy. He's a young man of faith, and he's some books out. I mean, if you want to be encouraged, right. He had 3 good books out: Lin Sanity, If Lin Can, and Lin Inspired. right? And just great books to read. A great human interest story. Jeremy Lin. So if you get a copy of the books, I'm a big component of reading comprehension and writing skills. And every week I have my book of the week, and these 3 books from Jeremy Lin are my books of the week. And then here's my word of the week, right? It's called inspired, right? And that's what we aim to do on the Blueprint Podcast. We started in 2020 during the pandemic, and what we wanted to do was to inspire people, to share people's stories, that people would be encouraged, inspired to keep moving forward, to keep dreaming, right? And so inspire. I'm on here every week to inspire you, to motivate you, to excite you to go for your dreams, so that's a very powerful word, and what we should all be doing, right? What we should all be doing. My shirt is like, I got to make an adjustment on my shirt. Yeah. But anyway, that's what we all are supposed to do is inspire people. And that's my word of the week. And here's my affirmation. And I pulled it from my guest page, and it says, this is the Pierce Harper affirmation quote moment. It says, always believe that the impossible is possible, right? That's my affirmation. We got to encourage, when we wake up in the morning, we got to encourage ourselves every morning, right? We got to get up and either read a scripture from the Bible, we got to read our word, or we got to come up with some affirmation, some quote that will motivate us to get up and move towards our dreams and move towards our goals. So that's my affirmation moment. And then here's my music and movie. I don't know if you guys, I don't know how many people on, but you remember the Manhattans. Anybody remember the song? I was trying to think of some of the songs. I just knew that a good friend of mine, I grew up with, he started singing in the gospel quartets back in the day. And he loved gospel quartets. If you remember the gospel quartets, it's like 3 or 4 singers, everybody singing together, and they get into a church and they invite about 5 or 6 of them. And then we sit there and watch them sing and hit high notes and low notes like the Temptations, but it was gospel, right? And he ended up, ultimately, and still to the day, he's a Manhattan. I'm going to try to get him on the show. His name is Charles Hardy, right? And actually, I think Charles Hardy sung at my wedding, right? He sung at my wedding back, when my wife and I got married 41 years ago. Sky's the limit, yeah. And Charles is awesome. The Manhattan was awesome back then, man. R&B, it was just powerful back then. But that's my music, and then my movie. Okay. Right, my movie of the week is The Conclave. The Conclave. It was very interesting. I got a chance to see it yesterday, and I when it previewed, I was like, oh man, that's interesting. I got to see that. The whole dynamics of what it is to be a priest, and ultimately who becomes the Pope. It's a very interesting movie, and the end is going to be a shocker. I'm not going to give it away, but you need to go. You need to see it. It's crazy. Woo! But that's my movie of the week.
You want to hit this? Check this out.
Oh yeah! Don't forget. We can never forget. Ain't Too Proud. The life and times. The life and times and story of the Temptations, and they're rolling. I'm sure they got to be about 30 shows in, and right now, they're in. What are they in? Worcester? Mm-hmm. They're in Worcester, Massachusetts, right? That's a whole mouthful there. Worcester, Mass. Mm-hmm. And they're there now, and you see my son Lowe's Moore is playing Eddie Kendricks in the play, and they're there from November the 8th. to the 10th. Today there's 2 shows there. Tomorrow there's 2 shows there, and then they move on. I mean, great show, exciting. Ain't too proud. And then my person of the week, right? My person of the week, Bill Modest. You know, Bill Modest is a longtime official, you know, in the New York area. You probably seen him on movies. He's always showing up in a movie, refereeing a game. I'm trying to think of Mr. Modest. What's his? I don't even know how old Mr. Modest. I just know that maybe
I think he's 89 or something.
89. It can't be 89. You sure? Because it was a few years ago. It's a few years ago. He said he was 87. Right. And he was still refereeing. Right. And the crazy thing is, I was driving. I don't even know. I was in the Bronx. I was driving. I don't even know where it was. But it was some little kids playing basketball. And I seen an official running up and down the court. And it was Mr. Modest. He was running up and down the court with the little kids refereeing the games. I'm like, what is going on? I always say, right, just like my guest today, I always say when I see these legends, I call them living legends, right? I want to be like you when I grow up. I mean, he was inducted into the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame on Thursday of last week, and it was a well-deserved honor, right, to see him. And so many of the officials, I don't like a whole lot of officials, but you know, these guys were good. I mean, back in the day. And I want to say thank you to all the leagues and tournaments that allowed these men, particularly black officials, an opportunity, right? And I'll say it, Mr. James Jones, my former coach at the boys club back in the day. And when they had the summer league in 4th Street playground, I got to, you know, play in front of, and these guys got to referee me back in the day. And seeing those guys, man, brought back so many memories, right? So many memories. And even the younger guys, man, now they in their 70s, right? I was like, how old are you? I'm 74. I'm like, what? But yeah, we just enjoyed playing the game. They enjoyed refereeing the game, and they did some amazing things. We did some amazing things together back in the day, and I love it, right? And so I want to say congratulations to him. Mr. Modest is my person of the week. All right, so I think we ready. Mm-hmm. So we're going to show this highlight, and then I'm going to introduce my guest for this morning.
One or two.
The one you edited.
When I heard that Brawley was a Globetrotter, I was like, when I thought about it, I was like, you know, yeah, that makes sense. I knew that there was a leader inside him.
If you're missing shots, don't worry about it. Jim Couch, he's been helping inner city kids, especially in New York City, for years.
I'm 91 years old. I eat a lot of soul food.
The whole Couch family means so much to me. They led my basketball career to where it's at today. It all comes down to you. Nobody can put the work in other than you. Having good mentors, I feel like, is important. I had coaches, family friends, community friends that always instill confidence into me.
Yes, I love you too, big brother.
Awesome. I want to welcome to the Blueprint Podcast the living legend, Coach Jim Couch. And we got Sean over there with him, his son Sean. And they in the house. And Look, welcome to the Blueprint Podcast.
Thanks for having us, man. I'm sorry I'm wearing a mask, but I'm not really feeling well. And
That's all right. Hey, you got to protect Dad over there.
Yeah, he's 93, man.
93.
Make sure that we keep this guy going like the river, man. Flowing.
Yeah.
Keep him flowing.
Keep him flowing. Coach,
Yeah.
I want to say that I enjoyed, both of you and Sean, I enjoyed going to the Classic. I got the opportunity to go to dinner with you guys on, I think that Thursday before the Coach Couch training showcase. I got a chance to go to dinner, spend some time with you guys. And it was a pleasure. My wife and I had to go to Baltimore for a couple of days, but I was able to make it up Sunday to the showcase, and it's always exciting to see so many young players, right? And you guys hosting them, some future legends, back in the day. And then you notice I got my T-shirt on. Right, I got my shirt on. I got my hat on. There go my T-shirt. I got my hat. So it's in my house. It's Jim Couch Day. In my house, on the Blueprint, it's Jim Couch Day. So, Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing terrific.
And I seen in that video you said, I guess somebody must have asked you the question. How do you survive so long? You said soul food. I mean. Oh man, and let me say this. Let me say this that to the audience out there that I go way back with you, right? As a young man growing up who loved basketball, right? And we would go actually anywhere to play basketball. I mean, some of the older cats used to put us in cars, when we were younger, put us in cars, and we drive all over Yonkers and White Plains and New Rochelle, and we would go down to the to the Bronx and Brooklyn, and we would play, and it ended up, I think I'm frozen here, but we would end up like just going anywhere to play. So when the opportunity came up to join you, and we had terrific training, from the boys club, now Boys and Girls Club. We had terrific training back in the day, and you may see me disappear for a moment, but I'll be right back. So you hear me talking, but we had terrific training, and we loved the workout. And I'm excited because when I was watching on Jim Couch, on the foundation page, and I seen the kind of workouts that you guys were doing, I was like, man, this is amazing that you guys are still doing fundamental things. I mean, like old school stuff, man. I mean, I'm good with the new stuff, right? I'm good with dribbling around the cones and all that kind of stuff like that. I'm good with that, but there was something foundational about what you guys have been doing for years, right? It's a very powerful thing to see. I was excited, man. And I was having a little flashback because it was hard work back then. Right. I don't know if players today want to put in that kind of work. Some players say, man, it don't take all that. And we got talented players out there. I mean, athleticism and all that kind of stuff like that. But man, I think we lack the fundamentals and understanding of the game. Right. Today. So what you're doing is adding some old school foundational things to some new school stuff, right? And I want to say thank you for that. So Coach Couch, how did it start? I mean, how did it all start with you wanting to talk about a little bit about family growing up, where you grew up at, if there was any siblings, Talk a little bit about that, because it's been 93 years. So
Am I on?
yeah, you on?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
talk.
Lowe's, I grew up in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and I learned most of my stuff through the Boys Club in Asbury Park. That's where it all started at.
Yeah, and I know it well because not only was I a member of the club, but I was also an executive director for the Boys and Girls Club in Mount Vernon for like 20 some years, right? So I know Asbury Park well. I knew the executive director when and during my time. I knew the executive director for those 25 years, and some executive directors go and come. So I'm very familiar with Asbury Park and the boys club, boys and now boys and girls club. So talk about that experience with mom and dad growing up in Asbury Park and getting involved with and here's the other thing. Talk about the foundation they laid in you of the importance of family, the importance of education, and the importance of faith.
Well, in my family, it was like value. They taught us very well, uh, and we listened. If we didn't, it was, back in the days, what happened.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Yeah,
But
no other words needed to be said.
no, but a great family. Uh, church going people. Every Wednesday night was prayer meeting. After we ate, we had prayer meeting.
Right.
And the family, they just drill it into our head. In fact, it was like prayer meeting Bible study every Wednesday in my house. And
Wow.
I never forgotten the values that my parents taught me. And I never will forget. And I thank them. They're not here though, but I really appreciate the value that they instilled in me and my other, because it was 10 of us.
Wow. 10?
Mm-hmm.
Woo. You had a whole team, man.
And a bench.
Yeah, you had a team starting five in the bench. Yeah. And so, what was it that, as you were growing up in the family like that, and what was your aspirations in terms of, what was your dream? I know for me, after I saw I always say this when I go to schools today, I hope you guys get to see this in your lifetime. Right. I saw the New York Knicks win an NBA championship. Right. So, so what inspired you, in terms of what were you dreaming about coming up? Were you dreaming about playing basketball and being an engineer? What was the goal back then? What was your thoughts?
Well, I was pretty young, but there was two police officers, Pat and Jerry, and these guys they worked with the Boys Club, and they was always there for us. They took us places, and I said one day I want to be like these guys. They were there everywhere. They used to take us to the movie. They took us to the beach. Just
Mm-hmm.
and they was there. They was there for us. They wouldn't let us get in trouble. They preached it. Preach. Do not get in trouble. If you see trouble down here, go turn around and go the other way. And I never forgotten that. And I said,
Right.
I want to be like these guys, man, to help kids when I grow up. So what happened, I was inducted and I was called. I was drafted. Back in those days, they used to draft you to go to the service. So
Mm-hmm.
I was
Not to the
drafted
not
at
to the
17
NBA.
years of age, never been away from home.
Wow.
And, it was a great experience for me to be drafted. I was over in Korea for a while. Never thought I would make it back home, back in those days. And then when I did come back home, man, I kissed the ground when I got off that C-54 plane, that because we was we was over there near the 38 parallel, and what nothing but those guys, didn't, they just didn't know whether we were going to ever get back home again. So when I got back home again, I was very glad to be home. Took me a time to get acclimated back to civilian life.
Right.
But then I began at the boys club. I don't know whether you remember Butch Saunders. He ran the
No.
boys club in Asbury Park. And he
Nah.
later became the mayor of Asbury Park. He was the
Wow.
one that took care of us. And Tom and Jerry, they were at the police station.
Mm.
And these guys used to keep us out of trouble. We got in no trouble. They were there for us. They wouldn't let us get in trouble. And they always would preach education also.
Mm.
And so it was instilled in me. And not only that, the church, Sunday school, BYPU, they had,
Mm.
you went to church, you went to Sunday school early in the morning. Your mom cooked and brought food to the church. You ate, and then you stayed there all day long. And they had a called BYPU. That was for the young kids. The young kids had to stay there, and that's where we got we learned a lot out there with the sports and things like that. We picnic, baseball with your family, and all of those things. We did everything with our families back in those days. So the whole day on Sunday was gone. And your
Yeah,
friends
yeah.
in the afternoon.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Mm-hmm.
Family. And so you come back, and so did you started to work?
Yes. When I came back to New York. And by the way, to let you know, I got married on a Saturday and had to leave on a Sunday.
What?
You know what that meant? To go
Yeah.
overseas. But when I got out the service, I came back to New York. Well, I came back to Asbury Park and I moved to New York.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in the post office as a mail handler at 34th Street in the Morgan Annex over on 9th or 10th Avenue. I worked there. Then I went to school at night.
Okay.
So I didn't have much sleep. And I didn't have much sleep because I was busy.
Right.
And from there, I joined the Democratic Club where I lived at 815 Riverside Drive. And they had a guy named Angelo Simonetti. So I went to him, told him I was at 815 Riverside Drive. I was living in one great big apartment, and we had to sort of corner that off. And I told him that I wanted, that I wanted to leave. We were in one room, and I wanted to get out of that. So back in those days, all you had to do was make a phone call. So they called the Democratic Club up at Dyckman, Denny Cannabis, and says, we have a veteran here, and we want to get him into the Dyckman houses up there. So like 2 or 3 days later, I moved from 815 Riverside Drive to Dyckman here. And that's when everything, that was 1956. That's when everything started here. I was at the Democratic Club every Thursday night. I was there. I was seen every Thursday night,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know whether you remember Russ Cunningham.
Yes.
Yeah, Russ lived here back in those days. Neil Johnson was here from the Knicks. And
Mm-hmm.
so we all used to go out in the park and play basketball. So what happened is it got so good there. And then later on we had Lew Alcindor. He was out there with us. And we used to have the good games out there. And like in the afternoon at 4 o'clock, that's when all the games started, when people was getting off from work. We had more people outside looking at us playing on the inside. And and what we started, I started everything. Oh yeah, I started everything up there. Then I got lights out there for them to practice at night. I got Group W Cable, they sponsored all our programs. They came out during the weekdays. Susan Sawyer and her husband, they ran a newspaper called the Height Inwood newspaper. I have all that stuff here. They used to take care of all the sports out here, Dyckman.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that we had good teams. I used to let people come up here at night, and like Geneva, when she had the Sweet Bees, the girls, and Nancy Lieberman, they all came up here and worked out because I was the only person that had lights here in New York.
Wow.
So everything was out there with me. So later on, I got a girl named Michelle Chiara. Sean remember her. This is a young lady that worked for Group W Cable. They would take 4 kids every year and bring them to cable. Sean was one. And they would let them go out into the area and do their own, like you were doing podcasts and come back and edit it.
Wasn't
Right.
called back then.
Yeah,
Sean went out and got his, he did his thing it was over in the Italian neighborhood, over there by Fordham University.
Yeah, by Arthur Avenue.
Arthur
with
Avenue.
the Italian guy. That was interesting.
Yeah. You
Oh,
called
yeah.
it podcasting. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it wasn't podcasting back then. I just had
Well,
a
it was the
camera and
beginning of
I did
podcasting.
that thing, and we would film like they taught us like I was an intern. They taught us
Yeah, the intern, yeah.
filming, editing, and Group W Cable now is Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
They really
Yeah.
played, yeah.
Yeah.
So I started everything up there for young people at Dyckman, everything. And so it got so good there. I was the first one that integrated the white kids in the Rucker, the Holcomb Rucker League.
Mm.
And I had some good guys. Most all my guys, they was in the private school, Catholic school.
Right.
So what happened? We was I put them in down there in Ruckers. Back in those days, you lick your tongue when you lick your chops when you saw the white kid. You just know you're gonna beat the crap out of them.
Right.
These guys Irish. These Irish kids, boy, they were tough back in those days.
Yeah.
So I introduced them. I put them in there, and all the parents. Oh, one thing. When I first moved here, it was all the Irish, Dutch, and Jews here.
Mm.
So there was no Latino. Latino stopped at 180th Street. From there, it was Irish all the way back up. So I got these kids down there, and I put them in there. And every Saturday and Sunday when we had games, the parents, we had a big farm, and all the parents would come to our games, the games, see the kids down there play. So Mr. Pelham, Fritz, and Al Edinburgh, they were very impressed with that. So they asked us to, or they asked us about starting a tournament here at Dyckman. That's how we got started up here. We got started up here. It was like a rainout site up here. Our rainout site we used to use 52
For the Holcomb Rucker.
for the Holcomb
Yeah.
Rucker.
All right. Yeah.
Right.
So that's how we got started out here. Cause I had a good team. It was a mix of black and white kids that we put down there. So Tiny Archibald had a team in the Rucker. What was that team called?
Chinese All-Star.
Tiny All-Star.
I remember the Tiny All
So,
Stars.
you remember Pat Sullivan? He was
Yeah.
from Carolina.
That's right. Yeah.
So Pat Sullivan came down there. He was dunking on everybody. And the word got out on 8th Avenue. Who was that white kid dunking on everybody? So he dunked on Tiny down there. Tiny said, you can't come down here and dunk on us like that in Harlem, So that's how we started down there, We and then later on they asked me to start Dyckman. That's how the Rucker started up here with Mr. Johnny Purvis and Mr. Ray Felix.
Mm-hmm.
They was the one that was the site directors and things up here back in there, along with Al Eafer's father.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
that's
remember
how we
Dyckman, man.
started up here, man. From then on
Dyckman
out,
was famous. Yeah.
yeah. From then on out, every Wednesday was a game of the week out here with Kutabi Cable. They come out and televise, and then put it on the cable. Eric.
Wow.
And it was history after that, man. You know, Dyckman became a great name. They became, I have to mention Lincoln Sessom. He's been with me like my right hand forever. Every Saturday and Sunday, I don't care how hot it was, 90 degrees, 100 degrees, we was out there every Saturday morning, the biddies, the midgets, the juniors, seniors, unlimited. We started at 8 o'clock in the morning and finished practicing until about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. But it was really hard. It was the court, the sneaker was about the sneakers.
Right. Burning rubber. Like
Yeah.
Somebody had the idea to paint the court light blue. And it was pool paint. And as you know, Lowe's, pool paint reflects heat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we had this pool paint, light blue and like UCLA colors, light blue and gold.
Yeah.
And when we would get out there like 8, 9 in the morning, and then, you know, we would practice, we wouldn't even touch the ball for 2 hours. So it'd be like 11 o'clock when we finally saw basketball, because we were doing all these, you know, like military type stuff, you know.
That's right.
Work. The sun would start kicking up. And when you put your face down, you felt the heat coming up. You had the heat coming down, the heat coming up, guys sweating, passing out, throwing up. It was like war out there, man.
Wow.
But the thing that I think separated our programming was the fact that we had people like Lincoln, like Evander Ford, who came from Harlem. You know, we had good coaches who were really into conditioning loads. And, you know, Dad's background, his military background, and also his background of, you know, being in shape, being in condition, you know, that was like the separator for our program when we first started. It made us unique. It caught the attention of the city. And the fact that it was free, you know, we weren't charging anybody. They could just come up. And the requirements were, you know, if we weren't full, like I think, what was the number, 70 or something? I think the number was 60 or 70 kids on one court. And then after a certain point, we just couldn't take anymore.
Right.
And at that number, you would have to just do the drill. So it was line work, burpees, these things called rabbits, where you would, you know, you would do squats, like jump squats, all the way down court and back.
Well, you guys know I know.
Oh, that's right. You know all about it.
Yeah, I was there.
All about it. You were down with it. And we would go out to Park Lowe's, and then we had this hill called Fort George Hill, where George Washington High School is, where George Washington actually had a fort back in the set. It's right. It's actually, you know, we're in this apartment. We live right. Well, Dad lives right under Fort George Hill, and we would do rabbits up the hill.
Wow.
Man, I would go to school that Monday, man, and it was worse walking downstairs than upstairs. That's how crazy, you know, it was. But, you know, for me, Lowe's, you know, like when I listen to my dad, he's done so much for this area, for training in New York. You know, everyone was doing tournaments. He was highlighting training. And, you know, even to this day, you know, when we talk about Kareem and stuff, there's still people here that know that Couch was in the park with Kareem. You know, most of the time, you know, working on his shot. He doesn't like to talk about it because, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people know that. I don't even know if my wife know that Mr. Couch was the person that taught Kareem or Lew Alcindor the sky hook, right? And you know, back in the day. And there you
go.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta tell people about that.
And
you know,
I was excited because you
talk about it, but you know, Dad has people that grew up in this community that can vouch for him working with them. There was even an article in the Atlantic about it, you know, and a lot of the NBA guys who know, you know, Dad's commitment to training to the community, you know, just his selfless efforts to help people. You know, it's, you know, I'm not going to say people are mad, but, you know, he just, you know, sometimes you do things for people and, you know, there's like a lack of appreciation. So, you know, we built, you know, from that, we've just decided we're going to be who we are. And, you know, that's who we are, Lowe's. You know that. We're community builders. We're men who care about how our people on a spiritual level, you know, can connect, you know, and maintain their personal strength so that they can be better people, so that we can advance our generations, you know?
Yeah.
Like my dad is here. I want to be a reflection of him and get better. You know, I want to be able to help my fellow men, women, children, whoever. You know, when you asked us to do this, we felt compelled to do it. And Lowe's, I told you, we don't do this. We don't really talk about what we do, but we felt compelled to do it with you because we know the sort of person that you are.
Well, I appreciate that, and I mean, you know, yeah, I'm all for the, you know, hey, what we're doing new today is great. I mean, you know, when we look at history and we look at foundation, you guys are foundational, right? And I believe 100% in the foundation, and I was just so excited to see you guys still doing the work. I mean, because that's how I grew up with Mr. Jones. It, like you said, I had to smile.
Jones, man.
Yeah, I had to smile because
he was about it.
yeah, I had to smile because I remember my first experience in the boys club in Mount Vernon on the north side, because I got cut from the south side, right? And I went to the north side, and I didn't want to go to the north side. My friend said, hey, there's another club on the other side. I had gotten cut, and I was like, look, I'm not playing. I'm not trying out no more. I'm not getting cut again. That was not a good feeling, right? And so he finally got me up. I tell the story, and he took me to the north side, and I walked in, and a little guy by the name of Calvin Jones, which was James Jones' brother, was coming up the stairs, and I was bigger than him at that time. I mean, you know, and I'm going down. He said, you guys want to play ball? And we were like, yeah. And he gave us a uniform, right? And we played in the game that day. And after he seen something in me, right, after the game, he was like, I can't really help you, but come on Monday, I want to send you to my brother. I didn't know that he was a B team and Mr. Jones had A teams. Like you said, you talking about the midgets, the juniors, the intermediates, right? Mr. Jones coached like 5 teams, right? And then I was on he took me into the A team, and I'm telling you, for at least a month, we didn't see a ball, right? So I was smiling when you said they didn't see a ball for 2 weeks. I mean, you know, and it was conditioning and strength training and stretching and character development, right? And learning the game, right? And then I knew you would appreciate this. The first ball he gave us was this yellow ball, which was a weight ball.
Heavy ball. Oh, yeah.
Right? He gave us the weight ball, and we were passing that weight ball around and doing all our drills with the weight ball. And then after, he gave us a real ball and told us we couldn't bounce it. So you had to learn how to get up and down the court without even putting the ball on the floor. And then we went 1 bounce, 2 bounce, because then we could appreciate the importance of the dribble, not just dribbling. Right. So when you said what you said, I was like, oh, yeah, I had a flashback.
But you also have to appreciate the fact that there were multiple people on the floor. Because if you can't dribble, the ball can't get down the court unless it's a pass. Dribblers, you can go down from one side to the other. So when a person tells you all you have to do is you can only pass, you have to use your teammates to get down the court.
Right. The ball moves faster than you do.
That's right. That's right. And Lowe's, you know what? We had the medicine ball, like the not the rubber one that you could bounce. We had like the Rocky one, like the boxing one, with the like the leather
Yeah.
one, and we would have
Yeah.
to carry it over our heads and run, and then we would pass it, and yeah. So back if you think about it, I don't want to be one of these old head back in the day dudes, but there was like a different mindset, that was being built here in New York. You really had to be stronger. You had to be in shape now,
Yeah.
in order to compete as a basketball athlete. I think that's
Yeah.
one of the things that, I mean, you being an NBA player, being elite, throughout your high school and college career and your NBA career, one of the things that I remember about you were strong. You,
Oh
you
yeah.
had a good build, you were in good condition. And, that right there was like 80% of the battle, and
That's
then your
right.
skill kicked in because of all the work you did.
Yeah.
Hello,
Yeah.
So there's a formula to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lowe's,
Yes, sir.
Sam Pelham and Charlie Chris.
Woo.
NBA
Sam Pel-
guys.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. My wife was born in Yonkers, so she knows Charlie Chris and all those guys. Bernard Toom.
Uh-huh.
Andre Battles. Me and Andre used to come down and
Oh
play
yeah.
in the Whitney M. Young and each one teach one, and we used to come down and play. But I could remember I was talking to Ed Pickney, and congratulations, Mr. Couch, on being inducted into the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame. My wife and I, we were there. I saw Ed Pickney. I don't think I seen Ed Pickney's. The last time I physically seen him was in your gym. He had to be a little bit younger than me, right? And we were in the gym, and I think I don't know if I was in college, because I know me and Gus and Ray and all of us, Scooter and Rodney, was young, and we were all down at the PAL, right? And we were working out. I mean, we before we played, it was workout. I mean, and we enjoyed every moment playing against Ed Pickney and some of the younger guys, and playing against the older guys. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience back then to go down and work out with you.
Jackie knows. Jackie knows.
Jackie
Closed at
knows,
9
yeah.
o'clock, and you guys went from 9 to 11.
9 to 11, yep. Woo, that was good times, man. People don't like to work. I mean, but Mr. Jones instilled the work ethic because we seen the results of the work, right? And if you're not working, you can't get results, right? And that's why I think a lot of players back then, if you're coming out of high school and you were receiving a scholarship, I believe all those guys were ready to play in college when they came out of high school.
Oh yeah.
Right. And the problem today is, and the question people ask me when I bring up names of players that are playing in high school now, and I'm trying to get them exposure or get a look. And a lot of times the coach would ask me, yeah, I seen them play. They're good high school players, but can they play for me next year?
Right.
And
Yeah.
the reality of it, if they don't get the proper training, no, they can't.
That's it.
Lowe's, I went to, this was a few years back, I went to a couple of showcases that featured teams like from all around the country. So, I went to look at one of the New York teams. And one of the first things that I noticed is that they were smaller than the other teams. They were all like skinny and they were athletic, they were quick, but they were getting muscled, off the ball. They were getting jumped over. It was like, it was a situation where you could see that they lacked strength. They were conditioned. They were conditioned, and they could really put it on the deck. They were quick, but when they had to finish, or when they had to be strong on the ball, to rip, to get people off of them, to make good cuts, everything got tight. And you
Right.
could just see the difference because they were getting bullied.
Right.
So, one of the things that, as foundational people here in New York City, the as you get older, you want to pass on the legacy to the younger players and the younger ones who, now are in the trenches, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
And, when I go and I look at some of the things that they're doing, um, it's hard to talk to them about like certain things because, you know, terminology has changed, the game has changed. They think you're old.
Right, right.
So I don't really say too much anymore. Dad doesn't. I mean, I've actually turned into my dad. Like I said, Dad, talk about Kareem. Tell him what you did for Kareem. He's like, he doesn't want to say anything. What is? Because like I remember all the things. You're talking about New York when there was like 15 NBA pros, 20 NBA pros.
Right.
I mean, in my class, it was like 7 guards in the NBA from New York in the 80s. 7 lows.
Yeah.
You were part of that group.
Oh, yeah.
There was more than 7.
Right.
If you talk about the 80s, it's like maybe 15.
Yeah.
So, like when you try to, the game's changed, terminology, you got to do this, you got to run here. And I'm like, all right,
But the thing is, what you're doing is foundational.
Right.
It's like,
right.
it's like the foundation of eating food.
Uh-huh.
Right there, you got to have vegetables. I mean, you got fruits, vegetables.
Right.
You got to have your protein. Those are foundational things, right? Same thing in life, man. One of the foundations we don't like talk about is spiritual foundation, family. What is like to get together at the dinner table, and foundational things and spending time together with family. Foundational things, that we no longer really do. Right. And it's interesting. Look, we talking about foundation. You got Mark Jackson, Kenny Smith.
Mark Jackson. I'm in that photo. Yeah.
Shelton Jones.
Shelton Jones back there. Pat Cummings. Is that Pat Cummings?
Yeah, Pat Cummings.
Pat Cummings. Yeah.
Shamsuddin, he played with Portland, I think, for a while.
Yeah, Shamsuddin.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
To Providence.
I think I got one of you, Sean. I think you is 2. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah. That's me and Rod Strickland when we were rookies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was I did play in the Maurice Stokes game. Stokes game. I think it was up at Kutcher's, right?
Yeah.
High school All-American game up in Kutcher's.
Yeah.
And just seeing those, I'm sure there's many, many more pictures, man, of guys. Talk real quick about some of the guys that came through the program with you.
All right, you want me to start like with the younger guys or the older guys?
Yeah, start with the older guys and start with the older guys and then work your way up to the
right, you can do the older guys.
Which one?
He wants to know some of the guys that came up through the program.
Oh, well,
start with some of the guys that went on to play in NBA.
Yeah, I guess you want to start with them.
Well, we had Mark Jackson, we had Walter Berry, Shelton Jones. Who else? We have, now I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah.
And why were you? Of course, you had Lowe's was there, Gus was there, Earl
I think
Roy Henson.
Yeah.
Roy Henson.
Lowe's, if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Lowe's, our program was the way that we were built. We had like our community kids from Dyckman, and then we started getting people from all around the city. But we also had a base of older guys like yourself, who were established college and pro players who liked to train.
Right.
So we had our outdoor programming, and then we had our gym programming, where we would train like elite college kids, pros, and some of the really good high school kids would get into the gym and have a chance to watch the pros.
Right.
So our programming started like that, and I mean you were part of that.
Right.
Coming into the gym, a lot of the Mount Vernon players, and it kind of started with like you guys, and then we had our own Dyckman guys like Steve Lapis, now Coach Villanova, and
Johnston.
Yeah, those guys. So it was really like in the 70s where the program started really getting its legs because we had like a multi-pronged thing. We had our, stuff in the park, and then we had guys who like to train and work out, and they would come and run with us.
Kevin Houston.
Right.
Yeah, Kevin Houston from Army.
Levy from
Howard
Princeton.
Levy, Princeton.
Yeah.
So, and then we would get the players too that Riverside and the Gauchos, once they were out of high school, they had nowhere to go. They would come to us.
Right.
So they were like, there's nothing else to do. They would come and train in our gym. And that's when a lot of the Brooklyn guys started coming to us.
Right.
So we got Conrad McCray and Norm Richardson.
Craig Carter.
Yeah, Craig Carter went to Rucker. So like the program was more or less like, all right, you've done your youth stuff, so what are you going to do next? Come to us, and we're going to teach you what it really means to be professional. You're gonna go through professional workouts. And like a lot of our guys who were younger from Dyckman and came up in our community program, they went on to, not non-basketball stuff. Some of them, basketball. But guys like Omar Booth, who works with in the community with the kids. Irby Mitchell now, who is the he's not the headmaster. He's the dean of students at Exeter Academy.
Okay.
Fred Benjamin, who is the dean of students up at Hotchkiss. So we have a lot of players who came through our program who are now educated.
Right.
I'm an educator myself. I do a lot of things, but I also do a lot of educational things in the CUNY system. So, in terms of like that, our legacy, it's really, when they say Mr. Couch's name, it's like, oh, you know what? That's one of the first experiences that I had that I actually did pro drills. I was around pros, and the work and the commitment to conditioning was really emphasized to me. And that's like our reputation. But as far as like newer kids, guys like Peyton Pritchard, Thomas Bryant, Wendell Carter Jr.
Now Pritchard is the Celtics.
Yes.
I think we just showed a picture. You showed that picture when he was younger.
With the yellow ball that you were talking
with the yellow,
the weight ball.
Yeah. The one
they
you just
came
showed.
To our program, just based on the reputation of Mr. Couch. Yeah,
right there.
He's
with the Boston Celtics now.
Hey, Lowe's, I'll tell you a story about Peyton Pritchard. So, I recruited Peyton at one of the USA Basketball events. I talked to his father. I told him, he's like, oh, yeah, we know Mr. Couch. We heard of him. We'll be there. So Peyton comes, and he's going through all the drill work, and he's just an animal. And, everyone at the drill stations is talking about him. And there were some really good guards who got recruited to Kentucky, UCLA. We had some really strong D1 guards. I'm not going to name names in the place. But Peyton was really just doing his thing. So at the end of our drills, Peyton goes up and he gets elbowed in the nose, breaks his nose. He's a bloody mess, blood all over the floor. We had to call his parents. His parents had left. They went shopping in New York. Yeah. We called them. Dad, will be there. They come back. They look. We're going to take him to the hospital. So they call those, and they're like, yeah, he broke his nose. It's going to get reset, and we'll see you tomorrow. So I'm thinking, okay, he's going to sit out and not play. Man, he came with a mask on, and he played.
Wow.
With a broken nose, and he was the MVP. And I'll never forget that. And what the father said to us kind of embodies why we're talking right now, though.
Yeah.
He said, look, he came to New York, and he came to your showcase because we understand what you guys are about. Peyton's about it. He's not going to let a broken nose or anything else stop him and his commitment from working hard. So when you think about our programming, it embodies that attitude. It's like good or bad, whatever it might be, we expect you to put in a day's work. And, that's why he's in the NBA right now and got a new contract because he has that attitude. He's just a tough guy.
Yeah.
Don't forget your friend out in California that brought the kids here to play. I can't think of his name.
Oh.
He drove around in the bus.
Oh yeah, I can't. He was the coach.
The
I
coach.
forgot his
Your
name.
coach.
Pop some pictures on the trees.
I don't
Yes, sir.
How many kids were last today with 17s? Doing 17s.
Oh no kids.
They do 17.
No, they don't. Where about?
When? I want to know. I want to know.
The kids run. I'm not going to be that guy. They run, but it's the strength that they.
Well,
they
I think the thing is, what most people don't understand is that with each level, there's a different degree of physicality.
Right.
Right. And so there's a certain level of physicality in high school, and you have to make the adjustment to the physicality that's going to happen in college and that's going to happen in the pros. Right. And then the strength, it's the strength at each level. You have to be stronger. I mean, your elite players are getting stronger in high school. They should be stronger. And then when you go to college, man, you're in the weight room. I mean, you putting it in, but you got to get there first. So you got to be strong to get there. That's the challenge is like in high school when we're doing push-ups and crunches and lifting and all that kind of stuff like that. We're not getting ready for just high school. We're getting ready for the next level, right? And so you see thin rail guys running around, right? But in high school, but you got to be strong. I mean, you got to be strong. You got to be tough-minded, Right. And that's one of the things I appreciate was here's a story for you. I had Ben Gordon when he was in 7th grade at the club, right? He was just starting to kind of get into it. He was going 6 o'clock workouts, 6 o'clock in the morning workouts and stuff. And he makes the high school team his freshman year. He does well, right? And end of his sophomore year, he comes to me, he says, hey, why don't you help out with us? And I said, well, I offered to help out, a few times. And so we were having a conversation. He said they want me to go on this AAU tour. And I was like, oh, that's good. You're going to be playing a lot of basketball, right? And I told him, I said, there's a difference between playing basketball and training. Right. It's a totally different thing. You can play basketball all summer, run around the country and play basketball. But if you don't train, you're never going to get stronger. Right. And I said, it's your choice. I'm not my choice. You can go on the AAU circuit, or we could talk about how we train, and I started to say to him, I said, look, the question that you have to ask yourself is, what does a freshman play like in college? Right. And what does a sophomore play like in college? And what are they doing that I'm not doing now? Right. Now, if you want to accelerate, right, you're going into your junior year, you need to be playing like a freshman in college. In your senior year, you need to be playing like a sophomore. In your freshman year, you need to be playing like a junior. In your senior year, your sophomore year, you need to play like a senior. And then your junior year, you should be heading to the NBA.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's an acceleration. It's a mindset. So I left it up to him in terms of, and we worked all summer. He didn't go on the circuit. I said, look, you're going to get blackballed, right? You're not going to make McDonald's and all that kind of stuff, right? But the thing is, you're going to be developing yourself as a pro, right? And of course, we know the story that he ended up, going through those workouts. He got stronger each year, and he gets picked. UConn gives him a scholarship. Right. And the thing is, Coach Calhoun, I seen him, I think, Ben's sophomore year, and I was at a game, and he came up to me, he said, I introduced myself, and he said, hey, Lowe's, I remember you, playing and stuff like that. So I want to say thank you. I said, for what, Coach? He said, well, Ben was one of the first players that I haven't had to retrain in 10 years.
Yeah.
right? Because that's what happens now, and that's why it's hard for high school guys to play at the Division I level straight out of high school unless you would if you're a McDonald's, you're going to automatically get it, even though you may not be ready, right? But you're going to get it because you're that McDonald's person, right? But if you're a regular guy, right? If you're a regular guy coming in, they don't want to have to retrain you. They don't want to spend 2-3 years trying to get you up to a level so you can play college basketball. They want you to play college basketball when you enter. Right? And that's why your training is important, because it's laying that foundation.
What Sir Rob did for him.
No. It's too much.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, no doubt. I mean, we're on the same page just in terms of,
yeah,
working on like certain things, a competitive mindset for our athletes,
Yeah. Talk about the
there's like a whole thing that they have to do if they want to reach that like elite level,
Yeah, talk about the showcase. The training showcase. Talk about a little bit about that. I also think we show some pictures, because I like the training, the showcase and things. Talk a little bit about
right. So
and the foundation. Talk about the foundation, sure. the showcase.
All right. So about 12 years ago, I was speaking to Terrell Harris, who is Tobias Harris's dad.
Yes.
And Terrell, Long Island guy, but he sent his kids were in our gym working out. And he said, "You know what, Sean? Your dad has done so much for New York. You should honor him. You should do a game. Let's think about a game or something for him. Like people should come and, let's get the best players." So I thought about it and I was like, you know what? He's right. That is a good idea. So, I put together a game. It started up at Kennedy High School at first. Tobias played and Kimber Walker played in that game. And it wasn't training loads. It was just a game. Yeah, Mari Lawrence. A lot of people played. And, I said to myself, okay, I'm just like everybody else, but I'm just going to do a showcase all-star. We got to get back to like what Dyckman's about. We got to train. So the next year we went down to Baruch College, and Milton Lee, who was part of our program, he was a trainer who, younger guy who worked training. He ended up being one of the general managers of the Nets. He was instrumental in helping the Russian that bought the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
Milton was a Harvard guy, but right. Milton learned about our programming when he was doing some internship here in New York, and just asked Dad, "Can I work out? Can I learn? Can I watch?" He watched Tony Campbell from the Lakers, who was running our training at the time, and Milton just learned from him, learned from me, and Milton and I ran the first Jim Couch National Training Showcase, and at that showcase we had Wendell Carter, who now is with Orlando. Peyton Pritchard was at that showcase. Thomas Bryant, who plays with the Heat, and Steve Zimmerman. He's overseas now, but he was drafted by the Magic.
Greg, Anthony Shaw.
Cole wasn't at that one, but we started there, and I got all our trainers that we worked with, and we just started doing drills, man, just like Dyckman style drills. Don Maker, I forgot. Don Maker was there as well, who was back in the NBA. And, when we finished, we talked a lot about at the showcase the commitment to being competitive. And what I mean by that, Lowe's, is, when you're committed to being competitive, it means that no matter what another person does, it's not going to affect your mindset as to what you can do and how hard you can work. So you can get dunked on, you can get crossed, whatever that means. You have to be self-actuated enough to understand that you have the ability to affect the game, given your work ethic, given your training, and given like the sort of person that you are. So we tried to emphasize that to our guys. We're like, look, you can't get caught up in, what people say, what goes on tape. If you listen to people that are not in your shoes, trying to clown you, you're going to lose. You have to understand that when you have a trainer and a person who has been there and get with that person so that they can take you there. So we emphasize working with people like you, Lo, NBA guys, right, who've been there, who understand the competition level, who've been through the levels. And I'm not diminishing anyone who hasn't played elite basketball. I'm not diminishing the Division III guy who now is a coach. I'm not doing that. Hold on, Dad. Right? But what I'm saying is that they got to be around some guys who understand, what it is to be elite on the college level, on the NBA level, even on the high school level. So we kind of like crafted that mindset, and the showcase is about that sort of thing, from the competitive basketball level to our trainers who are either NBA, high level NCAA. One of our trainers coached at Texas. He was assistant head coach. We have trainers who work with NBA players, down to our nutrition classes, that we have with certified nutritionists and mindset coaches as well that we have, So we've tried, and then people who have like different training apparatuses that are new, different, we encourage them to come too. So like the showcase is a way for a younger kid to say, oh snap, I like my coach, I like my training, but it got to be more than me just like dribbling 2 balls.
Yeah, definitely.
Like making 100 shots in a row. Like there's so much more to it, when it comes down to it.
Right.
So the showcase tries to emphasize those things, not to be afraid of competition, not to play games, trying to cut people off the court and all that nonsense. Just being good people and trusting your trainer.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yes.
We can't forget Felipe Lopez.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Felipe, that's right. Felipe Lopez and his group came too. And they helped us with our training, like in our second, and that group too. Yeah, they were there. That's right. Yeah. So we had Felipe there as well, NBA guy, who brought his training people with us. Iconic 32. That was the name of the group.
Okay.
Yeah. So
he must have a.
I forgot Sean was there. Lowe's, you know what? There's so many people, man.
And the other night, you brought up Felipe Lopez. The other night at the Basketball Hall of Fame, the Bronx Basketball Hall of Fame, he got inducted too, right? And he turned it into the Felipe dance show. And he wrote the whole Dominican thing, man. He was like, woo! and he's only supposed to speak for a few minutes, right? He said, I need about 30 minutes because we got the dance in here. We got the, Oh, man.
But look, I mean, the whole thing, Lowe's, is just trying to get kids around people that have done it. And that's why, like, the programs that do support us, high school programs, like Mount Vernon.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my buddy.
Yeah, Coach Semino I was there to watch the game. Yeah, watch Mount Vernon play.
They always win, though. And there's a reason for it, Lowe's. You know that. You know that.
Yeah. Putting in the work. Yeah.
We have Gonzaga from Washington. They're always winning. We have the top programs because they understand the value, of being around people that have experience.
Right.
So anyone who tries to diminish that or tries to clown it or herb it, we're not interested in them. They can chat all they want, man. But I'd rather send a kid to your camp because I know they're going to get value from it.
You see these guys on there got from the showcase that committed. I see all the guys, all the commitments that have been made that have been through the show, the showcase, and then I think. Some of the guys that are in
Gonzaga team there.
That's the Gonzaga team.
Yeah, that's a team from DC that came last year. All of those kids are Division I players.
You see that, Drew?
All committed.
All committed.
High level. And they came up and battled against our top New York teams. They beat us. But I really liked how our teams competed. It showed some of the things that we have to work on. And see, Lowe's, that's where I'm trying to get New York. Like, you can't be afraid to compete.
Yeah.
You get your butt beat, you just get better.
Well, yeah, and you look at
and the
where
teams
we're
that realize that are the ones who get better and win.
right, and we realizing that where we rank globally in basketball is not as good as it once was.
No.
You know, yeah.
No, I just think it's a matter of players and personnel being committed. I mean, I spoke to Ed Pinkney about this. You know, Ed is NBA coach,
Mm-hmm.
you know, New York City Basketball Hall of Fame. He's a legend in New York, NCAA champion. And Ed said the same thing. He's like, you know, we're not getting the same players from New York because we're all fragmented. You know, there's just too much fragmentation. See, Couch represented like a safe place where players could come, and we weren't interested in picking them apart or you know, like the monetary thing wasn't there. It was just like, come in here and work hard, you know. And we don't have anyone like that. You know, there's no grandfatherly saint-like figure anymore that, you know, a lot of these programs that have the elite players can say, hey, look, can you, you know, go here.
Right.
So it's just a different way. Maybe you can be that guy, Lowe's.
Well, it's saturated, you know, it's saturated with the amount of people that are training now.
Yeah,
they're training for money.
Yeah, and they're training for a lot of resource. They're training for money.
Yeah.
And look at this. Check this out.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Here we are. Right
Yeah, there's your boy. There you go.
Coach Couch and the great Lew Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you remember that day, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, Lowe's, the Columbia job came open, and Couch here, Kareem called him and asked him for a recommendation. And he gave it to him.
Wow.
He gave him the recommendation for the job, you know?
Right.
There were some reasons why he didn't get it. He was close to getting it, and I don't want to, you know, I guess we don't want to say those things, but, you know, he's a selfless person, man. People call him, ask him for things. He's right there for them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of treasure in heaven, man. For sure.
Yeah, man. And then speak about my man, Hugo, man.
Oh, Hugo King.
Yeah.
Hugo.
I want Albert King.
Albert King. You want to mention Albert King? Yeah. So Dad wants to mention Albert King. Albert came in the gym a lot with us and worked out with us, Lowe's. That's your generation. Albert.
Yeah. Albert King, all them guys. You know.
Yeah. All players over to his hamburger place in Jersey.
Yeah, Albert was like a conduit for the Brooklyn guys to come. Like when he came, a lot of the Brooklyn guys came too. You know, like Albert kind of validated us.
Oh wow.
Brooklyn. Yeah. So Hugo King has been really instrumental with the foundation, Lowe's, in terms of like honoring our mission. You know, we have a mission to educate our younger players, not just in basketball, but in health and wellness and nutrition. And, you know, it's primarily that avenue, like the nutrition avenue, that Hugo, you know, being like a person in the food industry, has really helped us through our Combinator basketball and training program, like our wellness program that's part of the foundation. And, you know, Hugo has been a big supporter of that. He's also helped us with the showcase in terms of, you know, helping us raise money to pay for the facility and, you know, to be able to get the permits that we need to operate in New York. You know, that's in itself is crazy.
Yeah. All by itself.
And also, like, he sees the value of what we're trying to establish. So he's helping us on some other capital projects where, you know, where we can maybe establish a home base and work the foundation and work our training programming, you know, in a way where we can, you know, make a lasting mark in New York City and in the area. So now Hugo is a tremendous community advocate. Good man.
Yeah.
Good man.
And I agree like you guys. And for a long time, I've been disenchanted by the whole workout training. I like a lot of the things that, again, I'm not here to put down what people are doing. People, what happens is that people see a need, like we all seen a need. You guys seen a need that young people needed something, right? And so, so there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things going on. I believe now that like yourself and many guys like me who have gone through a certain process of success, we want to be able to give back. I think you can always add to somebody's toolbox, right? You never get to a point where you think you know it all, right? Because there's somebody else that will come up with something and you say, oh yeah, I like that idea, or I like that drill, or I like that system, right? So I felt like I had to change the way I was thinking, right? As I watch a lot of basketball now and going to a lot of games, young, high school, college, and I said, maybe I could add to, with my knowledge, I can add to somebody's toolbox, not taking anything away from them, but there's something you guys know that I don't, and something I know that maybe other people don't. And if I can help build their toolbox, I said to myself, like, hey, I'm just going to do this, Lowesmore player development clinic for coaches, and at any level, to talk about my experiences with the coaches that coach me from recreation into college, the coaches that I've been around, Bobby Knight and John Thompson and Dean Smith, and being a part of the Pan Am trials and the Olympic stuff, a lot of stuff that I pull from those guys. And then from my pro experience, being coached by Phil Jackson and George Carl and Bill Musselman, and the kind of things that you learn from those guys, in terms of picking your brain, you're a student of the game, right? That you could give to some of these tools you can give to young coaches, right, on player development, yes, right, and laying a foundation. Then I'm doing that one. I'm doing this one on November the 16th from 10 to 1. I'm doing at the House of Sports. All that stuff costs, man. I mean, you're going, yeah. So I'm doing that for coaches, and then I'm doing one right after that. Another 3 hours later, I'm doing a basketball clinic for high school, and mostly I say high school, but mature players. I mean, if you got a middle school kid, a young kid that's like you guys are talking about, really want to work, not just kind of throwing out a basketball, right? But you're trying to accelerate your game, right? And we're talking about helping young people mature and really get a good, clear understanding of the game. I wanted to do, to see how it goes. This is the first of, I've not done anything in a long time, but I felt like I need to give something back, right, and to what we were talking about today is the training aspect, that getting stronger aspect, not just physically, but nutritionally and also mentally. Most people leave out the aspect. We just see the physical part, but a part of the training is the mental part. Right. You got to get physically stronger and you got to get mentally stronger as well. So, yeah, that's why I commend you guys, man, on what you guys have been doing, Mr. Couch, for years, right? And still doing it today, and is needed more now than ever before.
Yeah, well, Lowe's, we commend you, man, that you're, getting back into it. Anything that we can do to help, just let us know.
Yeah,
we're big advocates of sharing, our whatever we can. We're not afraid to share,
Right.
There's blessings in it. So, anything that you need from us, just please let us know.
Yeah, no problem. I thank you guys, man. If you need me, let me know.
Yeah, we're gonna go. Yeah, we'll probably be there too to support you.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
We'll be able to see this.
Oh no, we can. Well,
I'll send you. I'll send you
yeah,
the.
yeah. I'll write it down. He
I'll
wants,
send you the
he probably
information.
wants to watch it again. I'll make sure that he has the link to watch it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll send you the link. This is what happened there. See that schedule there?
Yes.
Babe, you can put that back up there.
This one?
Yeah. That's what
All right,
recently that recently happened, right?
Yeah, that was our that right there is our player development group down in DC. I failed to mention that, but we have player development people down in Washington, and it's called Jim Couch DMV. You know, which is Maryland, Virginia, and DC. My partner Cardell Dudley runs the player development down there, and we enter a team into the Nike Pro City Washington League.
Okay.
So we have like a group of college players from that area that we work with, and they go into the gym and they train and they drill. We actually have a little short documentary that's up on YouTube on the development aspects that I can share with you. A link.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
You can't go anywhere without having the gear. You gotta have gear.
Yeah, you know what, Nike's blessed us with, you know, a lot of good gear over the years. We do not take them for granted. You know, we appreciate the fact that they see value in what we're doing and that we contribute to New York City basketball in the metro area. You know, we hope to continue with them. But, you know, in terms of, you know, our basketball footprint here in New York, we just want to maintain it and partner with anyone who wants to help kids. We're down.
Yeah. Yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's enough. So, Lowe's, that picture is that picture. Keep that picture up. So, people probably don't know who that is right there, but to the right is those are the Connolly brothers. Tim, which is on the right, runs the Timberwolves.
Okay.
And then the one in the gray is the general manager of the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, wow.
So they were in the gym with us last year. And we've had like several scouts, like from the San Antonio, from the Nets, New York, the Knicks. They come into the gym to watch, you know, the games. And I don't really say too much to the community. You know, I heard one person say, oh, it's just a big scrimmage game. You know, one of the local Nike groups. Well, not the Nike group, but one of the local groups said something to that effect. And I'm like, every time that we go into the gym, there's going to be somebody either from the NBA, the NCAA, that's going to be around, man.
Yeah, definitely.
They're going to get a favorable look, you know?
Right.
So we don't put anybody down, and that's why we're happy, you know, that Nike supports us, you know, and that we have that support because, you know, they're trying to lift basketball programming here in New York City.
Right.
And, you know, they realize that our programming helps kids get exposure that they might not normally have.
Right.
And, you know, we just recently had a Division II kid that got drafted to the NBA G League.
Wow.
He's the 55th pick of the Denver Nugget team that came through our program, Will Condrat. And Will has been with our trainers since a sophomore.
Right.
You know, so,
yeah.
You know, he got drafted. He was the only one out of a lot of these kids, elite kids who played in these programs. And it's a D2 kid that didn't play with none of them that went through our training that got drafted, you know?
Wow.
So that's a statement right there, you know, just in terms of, you know, how we work and what we do.
Yeah, you have my cousin. That's my cousin right there, Tisha Hyman. My mom and dad. That's my
Tisha.
Tisha plays overseas now.
Tisha.
She's in. I think she's in France. Yeah, she's in France now. She came by the house before she left. I did some working out with her, you know, during the last year. And talk real quick before we get off here. Talk about the girls, because we didn't talk about the girls. I mean, but
That's
talk about
baby.
the girls.
The girls program, Uptown Talent. That's his. That's Dad's thing. You want to talk about the Uptown Challenge? The girl?
Yeah, you saw
You know what I'm talking about? Oh, this guy's going to make me. So Lowe's about, what?
well, he said he 93
ago?
and he could get you to do it.
Yeah.
23 years ago. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We got you.
Got me? Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
about 23, 24 years ago, a woman by the name of Marion Moore, who grew up in Dyckman Projects, good friend of ours, loves my dad, came to Dad and said, listen, I want to do something for women. And at the time in New York, the biggest women's program was the Rhodes Classic and West 4th Street.
My daughter
But
played
there was
in the
really
Rose
nothing
Classic.
uptown.
Right.
Yeah, nothing uptown. So he said, okay, and he started the Uptown Challenge in Courtney Calendar Park on 138th Street and Fifth Avenue. And it's really just been, you know, a tournament that is community-based. It's really helped Bronx and Manhattan programs like grow and get more respect. The Brooklyn teams come out now. They're always good, the Queens team. So it's become a borough-wide Nike program.
Westchester.
And Westchester, of course. You know, they've won it several times as well.
Right.
And, you know, it really just brings young girls together in a tournament format, and it's just grown and gotten bigger and bigger. You know, it's now part of the New York program that Nike runs every summer. We enter a team in there. We get like the top players. And, you know, Marion has done an excellent job. You know, she went to the University of Delaware. She played D1 ball. She's a baller herself. And, you know, she's really grown the program with Dad. And it's one of the staples now of New York City tournament basketball. And you know, it's also part of our showcase. We have a showcase game with the Uptown Challenge.
Oh, yeah. Coach
with our
Munch.
champions, and she was the MVP. I think that was, 2 years ago?
Yeah. Was it Coach Munch?
So
you know,
we let the championship teams play each other.
Coach Munch? You know Coach Munch?
Munch?
Yeah.
From
No Limit? He's in No Limit.
He had all the girls.
Yeah. And I don't know if you knew my wife and her teammate in high school, they won the first women's state championship and for the state of New York. And her teammate Marsha Blunt was the first black female to own a men's the ABA team, professional team, and then now she's the owner of the WABA for the women's program, and my wife is the owner of the Mount Vernon Shamrocks. They got a group that owns the Mount Vernon Shamrocks. I think it's like 18 teams in the WABA. They had the Final Four in Greensboro, North Carolina. I think they've been in existence for like 7 years. There's how many? 200. About 200 players over the last 7 years have gotten contracts overseas, and at least two WABA players have made it to the WNBA, right? So creating these vehicles for ladies, for women to go in is important too as well. You know, so I want to thank you guys, man, for joining me this morning, getting up early. And you're probably out the door going to do some workout and stuff like that. But I want to say thank you, man. I was excited to have you guys on. I mean, because that moment in my life was a very special time to go down and train with Mr. Couch back then. And also, we are family in Mount Vernon, so it was nice to go down with some of my brothers, the Gus Williams, Ray Williams, Scooter and Rodney McCray, to go down there and just work out with, to be a part of that program, the PAL. Back then, it was just exciting to go down there and have some fun playing. We used to talk about it on the way home. Yeah, that was a good run, man. And then you didn't know. We knew where we were. I knew where Gus was going to school. I knew where Ray was going to school. I knew I was going to school and stuff like. We didn't know yet because Rodney and Scooter and them, they were still in high school and stuff. But all the players that you down there later on, you get introduced to them, like Mark Jackson and all those guys. They young guys, right? And then you see the results, because it's really, bottom line, it's all about results, and you guys have gotten results over the years, and continue to get results. So I want to say thank you guys for your dedication and love for young people, man. I'm excited about that.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
We appreciate your time, and we love basketball, man.
Yeah.
We love it.
So enjoy your Saturday.
Enjoy
your Saturday. I'm going to send you some information. And to all those who support Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast, I want to say thank you. I love you guys. Look forward to seeing you next week, right? And I always say this: if God allow you to wake up tomorrow, make tomorrow your masterpiece. God bless you, and I'll see you next week.
Amen.
Yeah. God bless you and your family.
You too.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.